Hello everybody, how's it going? Recently, as a conversation practice, I like to retell some videos that have interesting ideas for learning English. Here is what I learned from a podcast I recently listened to. Okay, two teachers discuss the most effective methods for learning new English vocabulary and how to incorporate these new words into our daily conversations. She, a podcast host, says or states that the first half of this learning new vocabulary is encountering a new word, looking it up. If you have to making sure that you understand the meaning, if you can describe the meaning in a few words, to boil it down to something more simple, so it's easier for you to remember. And now she says that there is the piece of actually using it. And she asks her podcast partner if he has any strategies for someone to actually incorporate these new words into their conversations. And how do they get it from knowledge, right? You know the word, you can read it, you get it from context, but to actually remembering to use it when they are speaking. And replying, he says that it depends on how important it is to use it. I guess he says that if you have a word that you need to use in your job, or you try to use it basically in an email, try to use it in speech to your loved one or your friends, says just to force your brain to start to put that word into normal context in a variety of circumstances. And you could just have a system where if you had a group of words you're trying to learn, you try to use a couple of them a day or a few of them a day in speech, in writing, in an email, in a text, and it just kind of will help you to remember those words if you are trying to learn them. And it will kind of calibrate how well you are using them. And hopefully, because you are trying to use them in different contexts, in different conversations, if you want to start practicing using those words and speaking them, says that's probably a good way to start. And then she agreed by saying that she likes that idea, that maybe sticking with just a couple of words a week and having some system in place where maybe you have it written down in front of you, or have a little flashcard or a little reminder on your phone, you use this word. And then he says that if you think about a word, it's your brain needs a good reason to remember it. He says that if I give you the definition of a word you don't know, you might be like, oh, cool, and then, probably in a few days you'll forget it if your brain doesn't care, right? So the more links you have in your brain through things like repetition usage, find using some kind of memory trick to remember the word. If you think about what are the things we do remember, like you tend to remember like commercial jingles, and things that you didn't try to remember, but somehow you do. Why is that? So if you give your brain hooks and patterns and things to remember, and it's funny, or it's creating some kind of emotion, or all these things are giving your brain sort of additional resources to recall the word and to retain the word. And you are just kind of trying to memorize without putting a lot of effort into it. Okay, these are the main ideas from the podcast. I like these ideas. I agree that our brain needs a good reason to remember any word. And yes, it sounds to me that it's a very active process. Like, none of this is passive, right? People are actively having to read, actively look up words, and force themselves to use it. That's kind of how vocabulary is acquired. Okay, I guess that's it for today. By the way, I just now thought that those non-native language teachers, while recording videos, are themselves very actively studying and practicing spoken English. That is what I experienced now after recording several takes. Thanks for your watching. Bye for now.